Welcome to Prepper Nation. I am John. Thank you very much for subscribing and supporting the channel with the links down below. We don't have an official sponsor here at Prepper Nation by choice, nor will we ever, but there are links down below the channel if you want to help out. Don Walker, speaking of Don Walker, thank you very much for this morning's Mean Bean. So, a lot of stuff we could be talking about this morning for sure. We could talk about the former Ottoman Empire and all the chaos that's taking place, in that region of the Middle East. We could be talking about a lot of things here at home, but I want to talk about something this morning that may actually just save your life. And that is not just clickbait, but I do need you to listen up and take it seriously because I'm going to tell you a story here in a bit. This happened to us Friday evening. It's very sketchy, and I'll get into that, but it's part of a growing problem here in the United States and a growing threat here in the United States, if you will. And it's going to sound crazy at first, but please let me explain. Give me 5 minutes to explain. I'm talking about panhandling here in the United States. Nothing new, right? Panhandling's been going on probably since the beginning of time. I'm not sure, but a very, very long time. This is, the simple act of people asking for money as you enter or exit businesses and things of this nature. Maybe at red lights, I've seen that as well when I've been out of town and stuff like this. So again, nothing new, but it's starting to look a whole lot differently than it has in years past. I believe, personal opinion of mine, and I don't care if the hateful comments come or not, because again, this is what I believe. Uh, that there are really two groups of people now who are out here panhandling. The first group has always existed. Again, these are people who are just down on their luck. And there's nothing wrong. Let me just say there's nothing wrong with being down on your luck. I think most of us, if not all of us, myself included, have been down on our luck multiple times, I might add. So there's nothing wrong, man. Sometimes circumstances, it just happens. You know what I mean? And for whatever reason, you've lost a job or bills just caught up to you, medical expenses. It's the same concept as a GoFundMe. You just need a little bit of extra help. And also within this group, and these people have probably always been around, these are scammers. Okay. So you've got both. You have people that have a legitimate need for help and maybe a hand up out of a bad situation. But you also have people that abuse that system, right? That claim they need help, and then at the end of the day, they walk a parking lot over and they've got $100,000 vehicle sitting there waiting on them. So that does happen as well. And again, those two folks, the first group, they've always been a part of this process. But now we have a second group, I think, here in the United States, and this is something that probably was the case 10 years ago in major cities. Um, but we just didn't see that here 10 years ago. And now we're starting to see this issue emerge, this second group of people. And these are folks that have ulterior motives. They're not necessarily there for the money, whether they're down on their luck or they're trying to scam, they're there for other reasons. Criminal activity, a lot of trafficking taking place in our country. Sorry, ladies, but that's a fact. You're more likely to be trafficked. You're more likely to be pointed at by the bad guys and thought of as low hanging fruit or an easy, soft target. I'm not saying that you are. I know a lot of you ladies do carry, and that's fantastic, especially in 2023. I'm just letting you know how these people think, and they're getting more organized and they're getting more coordinated. And it seems to be that there are more group efforts going on now by these individuals, and they're becoming more aggressive, which is a really bad thing. Again, our world right now, a lot of bad people are out there. And we're seeing an uptick in panhandling, of course, because the economy continues to deteriorate, and it's gonna continue to do so. You're going to begin to see more people doing this because they don't know what else to do. Because they had a job, the economy sucks, they lost their job, they lost their home, maybe they're living out of a vehicle, whatever the case. But as you see that uptick, you're also going to see an uptick in criminals who organize, pretend to be, would be a great way to put it, pretend to be panhandlers in order to trap you in a bad situation and do far worse. Again, trafficking, robberies occur, things like this, all kinds of bad things in our country are taking place. So I want to take you to Friday afternoon. It's outside. I'm not going to get into too many specifics here, but it's outside of a local food line. Again, we normally don't see this kind of stuff. My wife is running in. It's like a 5-minute dive deal. She's going in to get a few bags of things. This is it. Uh, she's like, you can just hang out here in the vehicle, whatever. And before y'all clown me for this, okay? When she's putting groceries, God love her, she's very particular about how she puts groceries in the back and stuff because she doesn't want eggs to get broken. She doesn't want bread to get smashed. Guys have a tendency, and I'm one of them, just to chuck stuff in there, just get the process done with. So she's like, "Just sit here. I'll go in and get what we need, and I'll come back out." So there's a panhandler, which again is becoming more and more common, probably 200 yards away, a Latino male. He's 200 yards away. He's got a sign. He's panhandlers are becoming more aggressive. Like if you don't stop and give them money, or you don't stop, and you're just driving along, they're starting to get to the point now where they're stepping out in front of vehicles to slow you down or stop you, approaching windows and things like this. And again, maybe that's normal in urban settings, but that's not something that we would typically see here 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. So my wife comes out and I can see the panhandler up here and I can see everything that's going on here. I've got the rear view, of course, and I've got the side mirrors. And my wife gets into the back of the vehicle, and I don't know where this other lady came from. Latino female, very broken English. And I'm not picking on Latino people. I'm just telling you this is what it was. All right. Bad people come in all shapes and sizes and colors, right? So out of nowhere, again, I'm paying attention and I did not see this lady stroll up on the vehicle. She is probably 2 feet, if that, from my wife before my wife recognizes this lady, recognizes there's someone even there. So it freaked my wife out a little bit. She knew what to do. I told her, in this situation, you've got to be loud. If somebody rolls up on you, because it's starting to get dark, and if somebody rolls up on you like that out of the blue, you've got to confront them loudly. You've got to try and make a scene. She does just this. The lady basically approaches her and she says, "I lost my debit card. Have you seen my debit card?" But again, in very broken English. And my wife's like, not yelling, but she's being very loud. She's like, "You cannot just approach me like this randomly in a parking lot at night or, dusk." And what it was odd about this entire encounter, okay, it may be a figment of my imagination, right? But what was odd about this entire thing is, as she's speaking to my wife, and I'm seeing this through the rear view mirror, she's not looking at the ground. And I'm thinking, bro, if I lost a debit card, I'm going to expect to, if I find it at all, it's going to be laying on the ground, not 5 feet in the air at eye level. And what she's doing, in my opinion, what this lady was doing was she was casing the inside of the vehicle. Perhaps, it's speculation on my part, but perhaps looking for something to steal. Perhaps, is there anybody else in the vehicle? Is this lady alone? This sort of thing. My wife has something very deployable, very close on her at all times, and there's always a second option in the back of the vehicles. So it was within arm's reach. She was never in any kind of trouble. But as I see this lady scanning the inside of the vehicle, I open my door to get out, and I'm telling you, this lady evaporated. She had to come from a vehicle on this lot. It had to be very close. There is no way that she would have got, because it's not completely dark, you understand? And there's no way she gets to this vehicle, defeats the side mirrors that I'm constantly scanning in the rear view, unless she's doing so purposefully. So at this point, I got a really bad feeling. So I get out. My wife is normally, normally she's a nice lady. She was pissed. She's pretty pissed off about this. And she finishes putting her goodies in the back the way she likes them. And I take the cart back, or the buggy. My wife's in the vehicle at this point. So I said, you know what? I've gotta find out, because it's a gut feeling. I was just telling a friend the other day, you got a gut feeling. And I've told y'all this here before. You have to trust your gut. So we leave, we pull out, we drive by the panhandler, the guy. We go down to a restaurant that's at the end of this deal, strip mall, whatever you wanna call it. Not much of a strip mall, but just saying. Then I circle around the restaurant, I wait a minute, and I come back across on the backside of the parking lot. We're a couple of buildings down, and I pull into a spot. And I watch these 2, the panhandler, the man, and this lady, get out of a vehicle, sketchy looking vehicle at that, and they're arguing. And I think to myself, you know what? We may have dodged a bullet here. I think Miss Nation would have been able to defend herself against this lady if I wasn't with her. If the man was involved, I don't know. And so this is why I'm bringing it to you this morning. Our economy is getting worse and worse and worse, and we need to understand. Okay, sorry about all the story time stuff, but it was a bad situation. Could have been much worse, but still a bad situation. I'm not saying these people did anything criminally. I think that maybe they were thinking about it. I'm not going to sit here and say that they were into trafficking. I don't know this. It could have been a simple, can we steal something? Can we rob this lady? Are we going to wait for her maybe to walk into a different store and break into the vehicle? I don't know what was going on, but I know something was going on. My gut told me it was. And then when I pulled back in and I saw this, I knew at that point, yes, something is going on. So you need to be mindful of this moving forward, because again, we're going to see this more and more and more. And again, I thought, you know, maybe it's paranoia. Maybe it's the prepper paranoia in me. Calm down, John. Trying to calm Miss Nation down. She's upset because she's like, who does this? Who approaches somebody at nearly at dusk in a parking lot asking stupid questions? And at least she's like, at least announce yourself. Holler at me 10 paces away before you get there. Don't just walk right up on me. You know what I'm saying? You walk up on the wrong person that way, you might get a strap pulled out on you, if y'all understand what I'm saying. But as the economy deteriorates, you're going to see more panhandling. You're going to see more good people who need a hand up. But you're also going to see more of these dirtbag, scumbag traffickers and things, um, trying to make easy targets out of good hearted people. And again, I'm not saying that's specifically what was going down, but it may very well have been. So I just want to touch on this morning. Number one, please, especially ladies. Again, I'm not picking. I'm not trying to sound like a sexist or anything like that. But if it's a group of guys and they got a van, they're more prone to try and snatch a lady, because they think this is gonna be an easier fight than they are somebody that's 6'4", 6'5", 260 pounds, alright? They just think easier target. So, especially if you're a lady, especially if you're by yourself, alright, do not park in a dark place and not have a way to defend yourself. And another thing, Make sure that what you have to defend yourself with is easy to deploy. You need to be able to get to this stuff quickly, not to throw under the bus. But when I first was able to convince Miss Nation, you need to start carrying something, it was a stun gun. And it was buried in the bottom of her purse. And I'm like, baby, this is not going to work because in a bad situation, you may have 1 or 2 seconds. You're not going to have time to put your purse down, unzip it, dig through there because I've seen all of the stuff that's in there. You're not going to have time to reach for that thing. It's got to be easy to deploy. All right. And again, don't present yourself as an easy target. Do not give scumbags an easy target. You know, if you're going to be at a Walmart parking lot, for example, at night, park under a light. Do not park off on your own. Park where there are other vehicles, where you see people walking in or out. If people approach you, good hearted or not, if they approach you in an aggressive way, you need to be loud. You need to create a scene. All right. Because if they're just being stupid and not thinking about it, next time they might think twice. You might be helping this individual so they don't get a cap put in them by somebody else down the road. But at the same time, people who are trafficking and trying to rob and things like this, trying to do really shady stuff, they don't want a scene caused. They don't want attention cast their way. So um, you need to cast attention your way. And finally, just make sure that your family, especially if you have kids, children, make sure they understand threats are real. All right. It's one thing to see this on TV or to hear about it on the news, but folks, I'm telling you, this specific deal is not just a city specific thing. It's happening all over. And there's no end in sight on this. I mean, these people have made a career of crime and trafficking. And so it's not going away. But again, I thought it was just the paranoia and the prepper in me. And as Miss Nation is talking to her lady friends, turns out this kind of stuff is happening, not it specifically at that food line, but it's happened to a lot of people. Just a lot of bad vibes, a lot of gut feelings, a lot of, hey, I've been followed through the store and I know I was being followed and I had to flag down an employee. Please, please, this morning, be aware of your surroundings moving forward. Okay, because there's a lot of people out here that want to do folks like us harm. Until next time, y'all take care and God bless.